is the Drunken Disorderly Podcast, brought to you by The Launchpad Media. Go to www.thelaunchpadmedia.com for all your amazing podcasting needs, and you can check us out there too. We are also available on minds.com. You might have to look for Liberty Raptor because they keep fucking up my name change on there. I'm trying. But either Drunken Disorderly Liberty, Drunken Disorderly, or Liberty Raptor. We're on YouTube at you just Google Drunken Disorderly. We're like the 7th YouTube page down, or we're the first page, but the 7th entry, because you'll get 7 or 6 like crappy country rap videos. Like, they're fucking terrible.
I'm really sad that other people's versions of being drunk and disorderly are more popular than ours.
They're not more popular, they're just older, so they have more hits.
Do more hits. That's why.
So, what else do we have? We have Facebook. Obviously, if you see this later, if you're watching it or listening to it later, facebook.com/D&D Liberty. We live stream at 8 o'clock Central Time every Tuesday, and then we've been doing bonus episodes. Like the one that just went up today because I was lazy all weekend, where Josh Smith told us that he totally isn't running for chair again, guys. Wink,
and called me old. And he called me old.
I mean, look, you'll just have to fight him.
Such a dream.
Without further ado, Dre, the fuck's going on, dude?
Well,
He called me old.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm getting better at doing that. So I don't know if I told you guys in chat before, but I have some little announcements of my own. John and I will be sealing the deal on the 20th and then going to Cancun for a week.
Yay!
Yes, I'm so excited. We'll be staying at this nice resort and spa. I can't wait to have all sorts of treatments done to myself and sit on the beach for a week before I take another week off before I start my new job.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you guys.
Yeah, so I'm in a very negative headspace as far as work goes right now. So I need to get the hell away from that before I start this new job with a completely different culture and one I actually do give a flying fuck about. That's not a shit. So anyway, so I went to Pride this weekend. That was fun. They kept it quite PG as they asked that we do. And it was, it was a lot bigger than I was actually expecting for Omaha. There was every company you could think of. There was actually a lot of churches that, we'll talk about pandering. No big deal. Butts and seats, their money's green, it's whatever. That's all I could think, when I the first new Lutheran coming down and this one and that and whatever. So anyway, that was super fun. So tonight we have Kim Ruff, who, if you don't already know, is running for Libertarian Presidential Candidate 2020. Hey, Kim, how are you tonight?
I'm very well, thank you.
So nice to have you on the show. We've had your running mate, John Phillips Jr., who's already chiming in.
Hi, John.
Hi, John. Good friend of the show. It was great to have Johnny on a few weeks ago. And, it's super exciting. I bet you're busy as hell. You just were talking about how you constantly have those on your head because you're doing so many interviews.
Yeah, I wear them to work too, even though it's not needed. I'm like, it's ear protection. I work in manufacturing. No. It's crazy. It's been very busy, not only on the campaign trail, but I'm an operations director at a plastic and steel fabrication plant, and we are really busy at work too. So I'm putting in a ton of hours there, getting these jobs out, and then doing interviews and trying to go to events, and it's a lot of work.
It's tiring, right?
Yeah, I'm like, where are my children? Has anybody seen my kids?
Kim, your degree is in that field, isn't it?
In manufacturing? No.
Engineering?
No. No, my degrees are, I have an associate's in applied science in motion picture television and a certificate in film analysis and criticism. That's the first chunk that I got. And then I have dual baccalaureates in communication and political science. And then I also have a degree in doing AutoCAD. So I'm not an engineer.
Oh, wow. You have a lot of stuff under your belt, lady.
Yeah, I can draw you a 2D picture in AutoCAD and then write you an essay about a movie I just saw. So, I'm very overqualified to be a wonderful cocktail conversationalist, is what I always tell people.
Well, that fits in perfectly on resume for president. I'm just saying.
Right?
That's really
bullshit, and then a little bit of policy making.
I mean, really, that's what the president should be.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Somebody who can be a diplomat, who can, carry their end of a conversation at a cocktail party. That's really all we need.
Yeah. Well, I got that.
In spades, right?
Yeah.
You're way more qualified than our current president.
That's true. And this is and I'm not wearing a toupee, although this isn't my natural color. So, yeah.
It's beautiful now. Tilt your head down again.
I'm feeling lied to.
That's gorgeous.
You're not in your natural color, Erin. I don't even know what the hell's Erin's got going on over there.
It's my wig night. You're just mad because everybody on the show has hair except you.
Look at this beautiful beaver that died on my face. Okay.
That's actually a really good description of what's going on there and what it looks like.
It's like pubic hair above the neck.
Well, I've always wondered why it has the same consistency and feel as pubic hair. I mean, I get why the question is.
It does not. What the hell is wrong with you?
Well, that's just because you probably massage beard oil in it, but it is.
I do, but like this isn't curly the same. I mean,
is it also salted with gray?
My pubes?
Yes.
I don't know. Actually, let me ask Elfie. I'll get back to you on that.
You don't know? Well, you don't ever look at your junk?
No,
Not really. Dude, I'm fat. I can barely see it half the time.
Oh, that's almost like you know what it's like to be pregnant. I remember when I was really pregnant with my daughter, I looked down, I'm like, I can't see my toes anymore. I made it. So. Oh.
Where'd Dre go?
Dre's left us. All right, we're just gonna plow ahead. So I don't know. I think we've really derailed this thing talking to. Okay, Elfie says that I do not have lots of gray pubic hairs, so we're okay. Oh. We're okay.
For now.
Fix your camera before I bring you back in, Dre. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing campaign-wise while we get Dre kind of figured out.
Okay. Well, what we're doing. Well, I guess there's a couple of questions I get asked a lot, which is why am I running and what are we hoping to achieve? So the impetus behind us deciding to run for office, and it's not just me, it's also my running mate, John Phillips Jr. We're doing this as a slate that we fully recognize the fact that the delegates select them separately, and it's highly likely that we may not be picked together. We chose to do this because we were both very frustrated as activists and longtime party members with what happened in 2016. We felt that we had a golden opportunity to have our candidates do an excellent job representing what we believe and use that opportunity to translate that to our down ticket candidates who do have that chance of affecting positive change. But we spent most of that election cycle basically re-explaining what it means to be libertarian, clarifying these missteps, showing that we do know things about foreign policy, and this is actually what we believe as libertarians. And it was an extraordinary waste of time and energy, as well as loss of momentum. Whenever we have a presidential candidate, we exhaust a lot of our resources in terms of people and capital to do petition signature gathering, to get out and get those things taken care of, and then they leave and we have nothing to show for it, and it ends up feeling like we have to reinvent the wheel every election cycle. So instead of doing what we've done historically, which is just wait for somebody to come in and save us and then leave again after they're done with their end of it, we figured we'll do it ourselves. You know, like, we are libertarians. We've been in this for a decade, both of us respectively. We understand what it means to be, and we have worked behind the scenes, or in John's case, campaigned publicly. We know what it is. We're going to just do it ourselves. And in so doing, we've built up this really amazing campaign.
So I've been noticing a little bit about your campaign. Something I've seen go like in the last few election cycles that the activists in the party typically split pretty hard behind candidates, and you'll get Gary Johnson running and kind of driving off a lot of activists because they can't stomach Bill Weld even if they're okay with Gary.
Right.
But with your campaign, what I've noticed is all of the best activists are on your campaign. And then there's Erin, you know.
It's awesome. I mean, I've talked about this multiple times. Our campaign staff is like a veritable who's who of kick-ass activists. I mean, I feel like I am, and I've said this multiple times before, I feel like I am an 8 in the company of 10s. Like, I'm the least impressive, least cool person on this campaign. And then I have all these awesome people like pulling behind me. And because the whole point is the message. It's not me. I'm just the person who's speaking it. I'm just holding the flag. But we are an army, all of us, and we are gathered and united toward this common fight. And so we're all, we're all dug in on this goal. And that's why I think we've got so many activists. We want to create something that's sustaining and transcends the campaign and ends up setting a standard for years to come, whatever, come what may. We'll still be here in the party after the end of the campaign, after the election cycle. We're still going to stick around because we recognize that we have a moral imperative to fight this fight. So I think that's probably why, is that we're not doing it for our own egos or to build up our personal reputation, but because there are people's lives literally in the balance. And if we don't do something, then we will continue to perpetuate this tyrannical cycle, and it will only become worse.
That's really refreshing to hear that. Carl, right? It's really refreshing to hear, that you're not necessarily going to win this, that, and the other. You're going to have all these trials and tribulations along the way on the campaign trail, but you're still going to stick with it. And it is not about you and putting your name on a campaign poster. I was just listening to Larry Sharp did a podcast recently, and he was talking about his campaign and, why he did it and what he expected. He's like, I knew I was going to get beat up at the end, no matter what, by libertarians. And that's fine. I accepted that going into this, and I'm still doing what I need to do, and I'll help whoever reaches out and wants to help. That is what our party is about, is reaching across to everybody and helping everybody. And I think that's so refreshing coming, when you look at everybody else tearing people apart. Sorry, Zach.
Can I just say real quick before we go any further, Sam Copringer doesn't count as a libertarian. Like, can we all just agree that, it's not criticism coming from libertarians if it's criticism coming from him?
No, wait. Now, look, I'm not going to say that. Yeah, look, let's equate it to this. Let me give you a beautiful metaphor. Look,
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
He's the gentleman, one of the gentlemen kind of leading the current charge against Maj. Look, here's the thing. Imagine yourself at your family reunion and everybody actually shows up. Okay. Everybody there is your family. Many of them you don't want to publicly claim, but they're still your family, right? Sam's kind of that uncle. He's that dude.
Was he the one where you're like, where are the kids?
Right. Like, yeah.
Well, he is a kid. That's kind of the difference.
I mean, he's family. He is a libertarian. Of some variety, because he self-identifies as a libertarian. So do I think that he and I have the same understanding of principle and philosophy? No, I do not. But I don't I have issues with that. He's not libertarian. She's not libertarian. Whatever's not libertarian.
So I don't do purity tests. But if you're going to attack every single other activist and candidate we have for not fitting your definition of libertarianism, which is a really fucked up one.
No, look,
in his case, then he gets to just not be in the club, as far as I'm concerned.
He gets to be in the club, but if nobody else is good enough and you are the only one that gets it, then fucking get off your ass and run for office yourself.
Except no one would support him because he's terrible. Sorry, go ahead, Kim.
No, I was going to say, I always like to joke about it, being a libertarian is like being Highlander. Like, there can only be one, There's only one. And if you want to be the next one, you got to take off their head.
One of the things that I wanted to kind of point out about Kim's campaign, I want to kind of jump back to where we were.
Yeah.
Kim and John have both said, right, publicly, if we win the nomination, do we think we're going to like slam dunk the White House? Probably not, right? But that does not mean that they're not running to win and to slam dunk the White House. That's absolutely the goal. When principled candidates tell you guys it's about the message, it does not mean that they are not running to win. They are absolutely running to win. They're just not going to consider it a total loss if they don't, as long as they can accomplish some other goals along the way.
Right.
That's all they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, the way you look at it, I mean, I hate to keep kind of using the military analogy, but it is very apropos, or, it's very appropriate, which is that this is a long-term war that we're waging, because this is something that has happened over the course of centuries since our country's inception. It's been continuous. And so we are waging a battle of attrition. And every step along the way is going to be different gambits and different, battles that you're going to fight. And just because you didn't get from point A to point Z in the first round doesn't mean that there's not successes and battles to be won along the way.
Right.
Every person that thinks about things differently, where you peel back that corner on that thought, that is a huge coup, because that's another person who's going to do that for more people, and it'll spread out. If we can continue to impress upon people the importance of good government starts with you, and then you take care of you and yours and your community, and you focus that energy there, then we're going to create good little pockets all over the place that'll eventually overlap. Right. So I'm very optimistic that we will be able to start to usher this change that is so desperately needs to happen, whether or not I make it into the White House. That being said, I'm still working on a 100 days plan.
I mean, look, realistically, you only have to take, 5-6 states to throw this to the House, and that's a win.
Yeah.
That's doable.
I have a very real question, and it's the one question that apparently we care about here, and the question that must be asked of every candidate.
Oh my God, it's nuclear energy!
How do you feel about nuclear power?
I love it, actually. I do. So, yeah, I have no issue with nuclear energy at all.
So
you got to give us more than that, or Justin's going to start getting antsy over there.
Like, dude, he will hyperventilate.
This is not us. This is a viewer, just so you know.
This is all Justin O'Donnell. Justin, dude,
we're asking her.
No, I don't even, he's not even bringing it up anymore. I'm doing it because it annoys the both of you.
Well, out of curiosity, I mean, I can certainly try and talk about it a little bit more. I mean, we do have Palo Verde Nuclear Power Plant out here in Arizona. It's out west of the Phoenix metropolitan area. It was a huge undertaking. Bechtel was the construction company responsible for making it. Bechtel is the same construction company that was part of constructing Hoover Dam, which was originally like Boulder Dam, but they that's pretty interesting. Bechtel is such a shisty construction company. They buried a bunch of their equipment and then billed for time and material. And it's something that was originally bid at a set point, and then it ended up expanding into like a multi-billion-dollar enterprise to get this nuclear power plant up and running. So, but it doesn't, nuclear energy it's a viable form of energy, and I don't think that we should dismiss it just because there have been things like Chernobyl, which was due to very shoddy engineering, reverse engineering. Thank you, Soviet Union. And actually, one of the impetuses behind the perestroika and glasnost, because of the fact that they picked up what happened at Chernobyl on radars in other countries. Finally, the Soviet Union had to cop to what happened. But that doesn't mean that nuclear energy is bad. Nuclear energy is awesome. So, yeah, that's what I think about it. And you can go ahead and say bad things about me if you'd like to, Justin.
No, that will make Justin so happy. Justin's pro-nuclear.
Oh, yeah. I understand why it's like a bad thing, unless people are just conflating it with a nuclear meltdown. But it's not the same thing. That it was a breakdown in quality assurance measures and bad engineering, not a failure in the process itself.
Okay, that's just rude. The Soviets do nothing but quality engineering.
Oh my God. So I have a funny story for you. Soviet engineering. So do you guys know what a Ural is?
Mm-hmm. A what?
A Ural. Not just the mountain range, but they have the motorcycle with a sidecar attachment. It was reverse engineered from BMW's motorcycle sidecar attachment during World War II. So when I was married to my ex-husband, we're big motorcyclists. We thought, wouldn't it be so cool if we got a Ural? So we went all the way out to Massachusetts to buy one. We paid 20 grand for it. We rode it twice before that thing broke down. And we're like, that's the Soviet Union for you.
Yep. You're lucky you rode it twice.
Yeah.
Right? Lucky you got it home. Damn.
I mean, that's...
We didn't ride it home. We rode around the area in Lockport, and he got stuck in a rut, and we had to have somebody with a tractor from his unit come and pull him out. Anyway, he got made fun of a lot in the unit.
Yep.
Whoopsies.
Yeah.
Wait, he was in the military and buying Soviet equipment? That's like sacrilege.
Ballsy.
What?
It's edgy. He was being edgy. Damn it.
You don't like all their rifles
No.
down?
Actually, the most.
No, so that's the one thing they make well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know the SKS, John calls it the Tommy gun. I know that fires fine. It's a heavy as fuck gun, and I fired it several times, and it's been fine. But I thought that all their other crap was crap.
No.
No.
No, I was going to say the Mosin Nagant is a World War I surplus rifle, and you can get those things for like $80-$90. I mean, they just, after World War I, they stuck them in storage. They put a bunch of stuff to prevent it from, rusting. If you get some naval jelly and epoxy, you can like clean that puppy up, and it kicks like a mule, but man, that's a good rifle. So, and it's inexpensive. So
That's nice.
That's a good one.
Yeah, things that blow up or kill people, they do okay with. Like things that are designed to blow up on purpose, they do okay with.
Right.
The problem is things that aren't designed to blow up on purpose tend to fucking blow up.
Well, it depends. If they're selling
on this,
if they're selling those explosives to other countries, they're selling them the crappy ones that don't work.
Scott.
That's why we know that all of North Korea's artillery ammunition is pure trash, and maybe 1 in 10 of them will actually go.
Yeah, it's all Scud missiles.
If
I
you
mean,
have
that's
something right there, they will blow it up. Or they'll implode it, I guess, is really what they'll do. They're not going to get any trajectory. They'll just detonate it in their own backyard.
Yeah.
So what do you got there, Zach?
What?
I said, what do you got there?
Are we talking about my girly
Booze.
alcohol or my
What
gun?
are you drinking?
Your gun, for fuck's sake.
This is my SKS. And I'm a bitch who has a scope, because this is actually, I had an SKS and an AR, and the AR was for close combat, and the SKS was for distance. And I got rid of the AR because I needed parts for a vehicle that I replaced, and it still didn't work, so that was a bad trade.
It always is.
So I'm going to level with everyone. I've never fired this.
Are you fucking kidding me? You better bring that to range day. John's has a bayonet on the end of it that flips out. His SKS does.
So I could have gotten a bayonet attachment. My uncle was willing to sell me one, but I think bayonets are really fucking stupid on a gun. Like if we're gonna get that close, I've got an e-tool. Like I will cut your head off with that before I'm gonna try to put a fucking.
Well, I have
turn this
gun.
into a spear, basically.
I'd really rather not stab anybody. That's icky. I'd rather shoot them.
Yeah. Stabbing is a very intimate, not that I know.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. That's what they say. It is. You have to get this close, within arm's reach, and you feel the grossness of the knife going into their flesh. No thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. If they're there, like, game over already.
Look, ideally, I wouldn't want to be in that situation, but the only bitch I can't live without is me. So if I have to stab a motherfucker, I'm going to stab a motherfucker.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Really not, though. I'd rather shoot. I'm just saying, if I had a preference, if I got to choose.
Look, I don't mean to be rude, Dre, but you're like, what, 100 pounds at most? I mean,
I'll take that compliment.
up close, I don't mean to be rude, but I don't think you have a whole lot of a chance anyway.
Look, dude, an M80 is not real big.
I mean, if this is coming down to a knife fight. Like, Erin has training, so I trust her to be able to pull it off. But you, I'm sorry, I don't take you as the knife killer.
Nope. I have 0 upper body strength, 0 combat experience. Listen, if you get within arm's reach of me, I'm probably done unless I have a gun and I can get it out and shoot your ass.
I'm getting you throwing knives for Christmas, girl.
We're gonna live stream you practicing.
You know what? I know there's a place where you can go and throw axes. And I know there's an archery range in one of the ranges here. So maybe they would let me throw knives there too.
That'd be cool.
You guys have that down where you're at, Kim?
A place to throw knives?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I've never looked into it. I know that we've got quite a few gun ranges on the periphery. Like there's one in Casa Grande called Elsie Pearson, and then there's Ben Avery up north, and one over. I mean, we've got a bunch of them, and then there's like the Rod and Gun Club, like down at South Mountain. And there is actually a place that came up in Glendale where it's like a tactical place, kind of where you can go in and pretend that you're a cop or something. But yeah, so you can like beat up innocent people and then be put on paid administrative leave.
Yeah, get a paid vacation.
Right.
That's a little different than our tactical place. Our tactical place, you can like go learn survival in the wilderness, or go learn hand-to-hand combat, or go learn different training with guns.
Gosh, you know, there probably is. The gun training I have is actually through this thing called Suarez International, and that's how I learned how to use a firearm, because I used to be real skittish about it. And the same way I am with motorcycles, I was like, I'm going to take a class. So, but yeah, I'm sure. I mean, we have a few people who are like survivalists. So
he's got a point. My backyard slopes up, so if we stood at the door and threw knives into the yard, it would hit the wall. Like I could build a berm, basically. So we can come over and practice axes at my house.
You can just come visit me, because I have enough room for us to like blow up tannerite while we're throwing knives. I mean, which is a lot of fun.
You know, I keep asking around, and I would love for somebody locally who had land for us to go to be able to shoot there, because I think it would be much more beneficial than at the range. The range is it's restrictive, it's loud, and there's other people, and you can't
shoot tannerite, and it goes boom in a really cool way.
That too. But they do have really giant guns that they'll let you borrow.
I'm a big fan of thrown weapons and non-conventional weapons. Like I love fire staves and fire poi. They're a lot of fun to work with.
Is that because? So I kind of got in it when I was in the military. I got into this too. Once you're trained, and maybe this is just my craziness. Once you're trained to be able to take a life with a gun, I feel like after that, it's just like, well, what else can I use? And that's where you start going down the path of, well, I could use an e-tool, or I could use a bayonet or a knife. Like, and then you just start, it's kind of like when never mind. I'm not going to make that comparison.
Well, I mean, there are these benign things, right? Like boomerangs and yo-yos that were both invented as weapons.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yo-yos are designed to make bones.
Yo-yos are an Aboriginal design. The Aborigines.
I can see where that can be dangerous as hell around somebody's neck.
Well, and they were dropped.
They were made out of stone. So, like, they were dropped or thrown, and they were designed to break bones, especially in your legs. And then they'd be able to pull them back up.
what about that ball with the paddle thing? Was that a weapon?
Depends on your kink, man.
Here we go. This is why I asked you, Kim. These two. Also, yeah.
Don't kink shame me, damn.
I'm not. I am absolutely not. I just want everybody to be prepared for what they might encounter on this show.
Oh, it's fine. I'm the most milquetoast vanilla person you'll ever meet, but I'll totally listen to all your stories. I think that may be a kink in and of itself. Like, tell me details.
Like, what's the opposite of exhibitionism? Like, someone who likes to hear about exhibitionism. Yeah, is that a kink?
Yeah.
I mean, it's gotta be.
Right?
Yeah, like, if you would write me a story about it, I would totally read it.
I mean,
Elfie's into reading stories like that, too. Don't worry.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that are into erotica. Erotica sells. I mean...
Oh, have you
guys, I've always been kind of the more wild one of any little group or pocket of friends I've been.
You met us.
And yeah, and you guys make me feel like a fucking square. It's weird as fuck. I don't like it. I feel like a dandy, or I don't know.
It's okay. Sisters, you do it through a hole in the sheet. I'm on your team. I'm like, I don't have magic underwear because I'm not Mormon, but I would if I could.
This is the quality content you tune into our show for. You won't find this on other libertarian podcasts.
Nope. We were just talking about that.
So I forgot my plug because I am a little more drunk than ever.
Plug? That was a weird segue off of kinks.
Look, man. Maybe I'm not segueing. Maybe we're still talking kinks, okay? I can go get some.
He forgot his plug.
Anyway, so after the show tonight, we're going to be doing our subscriber-only show in our subscriber-only group. The way you get access to that is you either go to our Anchor and subscribe there for 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99. We don't really care. We just want subscribers. Or coming up, we haven't gotten a firm date on this yet because they're still developing, but the Launchpad Media will be rolling out their subscriber program, and the live stream will be available to subscribers on their network, and then the video will go up on their network only. It won't go up anywhere else. So look out for that. That's going to be a cool little subscriber perk for the Launchpad Media.
And two, guys, if you're not subscribers to Launchpad Media, you're missing out on a lot of great content, not just us. There are a lot of amazing content producers available to you there. Like Blast Off with Johnny Rocket is there. Like, check it out, man.
I've heard of him.
Have you?
Yes, I hear he's in the. I hear him all the time. Yep, he's good. You're good.
So when Johnny was on, he kind of told us that whole story, that whole starting your relationship together love story. And it was pretty cool.
How I didn't put out because I don't. I'm a lady. Yeah, no.
So we didn't get that part. Do tell.
Yeah.
Oh,
give us those details.
So Johnny is just very, very enthralled and very, very, very much in love. And it is like, I almost started crying when he was telling the story about it. Because I remember seeing it all unfold, on social media. And then I think I had talked to him about coming on the show, and I think we were still with the other thing, and he was like, no thanks. And so, but yeah, so I remember seeing that, and I'm like, that is so romantic. Like they barely, he was talking about how you guys had the show, and then he couldn't stop thinking about you. You guys talked, and he came out to see you, and then it would just happen. So that's super cool. Super happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if I listened to a bit of the episode, but I don't know if he mentioned like the linchpin for him was he'd been messaging me after the show, and he was talking about how they were going to start to do the all-nighter, like him and Raylene as extra paid content. And he was saying something about how I said, you should do like a visual. I said, I don't know if you even know this because it's really kind of old school and very obscure, but like Donald Fagen's Nightfly album cover. I'm like, you should do something like this because in the album cover, it's kind of black and white with a bluish cast to it. Fagen sitting there in front of one of those classic mics. He's got a cigarette. It's very classic. And he shows me at the same time this thing that he'd drawn that was him and Raylene sitting in front of that old school mic with the cigarette and the coffee. And he's like, Steely Dan's my favorite band. And I'm like, who the hell in our age group says that? So, yeah, that was pretty much like the kicker is like, serendipitously came up with the very same weird, obscure reference. So
that's too cool. I love stories like that.
It's cool, right?
Yes.
And then he makes me laugh. He's really, really, really funny in person. Like, he's funny on the radio, but he's really animated.
That's true.
Acts shit out. It's the best.
That's awesome. So your life is fun.
When we were in Ohio.
Oh my God.
So we, after everything, you know, we go back to the hotel room to get some rest or whatever. And he and I will unpack our days. We'll talk about like, well, what was your experience here? What did you think about this? And we'll just kind of compare notes. And we were cackling, like laughing our asses off about some stuff. And the next morning we, you know, we're fresh and we're ready and we're going on to the next thing. We come out our door and somebody else on my campaign, I had no idea was rooming next to us, comes out and he's like, that was you. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But it wasn't like knocking the headboard. It was just us laughing. I was like, I'm so sorry. So yeah, we have a lot of fun. He's awesome.
That's amazing. I'm very, very happy for you.
Thank you. Congratulations to you.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited. We are doing it a little bit differently. We're doing it the Libertarian way. We're not going to have a marriage license. We'll do a series of contracts that will equate to us having as little state involvement as possible with the protections of married, as much protections of married people as we can possibly get. So, and it'll be the second time for both, you know, we are both divorced. So, so I'm excited. I'm very excited. It'll be very, very small, but you guys, after, you know, the summer and after I'm done planning all this bullshit and I have a little more time, we will have a big party or reception, if you will, and you're all invited.
Oh,
we could always do it in Austin in 2020.
And I'm going to show up. Reception. What do you want? Do you want a gun? You want a Mosin Nagant? I'll get you one.
I'd love a gun. Guns, please, guns and ammo. We don't need any dishes. We're set. We're adult. We've got dishes and sheets.
What about cheap dishes that you can use for target practice?
Yeah. You know, that was the issue when we were up visiting my grandparents a couple of years ago in Valentine, and there was an outdoor range at the city park. And, you know, we had all these cans and things, but it's so windy out in the sandhills that they just blow over. So, you know, targets, please. Any solid targets. Anybody with land around here, let me know where I can come shoot.
Do you want a target that is not penetrable? Because if you had somebody fabricate you something out of AR-500 steel, it's abrasion resistant and it's really unlikely to be fully penetrated by a typical bullet. I'm saying that because I worked in steel fabrication and we sometimes as a side gig would make targets for ourselves to do.
Oh, cool.
There might be some counterweight. So if you hit it, it'll just kind of go back and forth and then reset itself. Those are really, really easy to make.
That'd be amazing.
All right. I know some people. I've got a family. So I'll see if I can get you the hookup. Give me your mailing address and please pay for shipping.
If it's steel, it might be cheaper to drive down there and get it and come back.
I'm like, the car.
Like, it's a good thing you guys are doing this the libertarian way, because I can like totally envision these invitations, right? Couple is registered at Guns and Ammo, Cabela's, and Bass Pro.
And we're not even hunters. Neither one of us has any interest in hunting. Like when I walk in these stores, I'm so annoyed. It's all animal centered. You know, I'm a vegetarian. I don't want to kill any animals unless I absolutely have to.
You could do what Johnny and I did, which was we made a court summons and we sent it to people as and scared the shit out of a lot of our friends.
Did it say you are being detained?
It said something. I mean, he modeled it after a legit court summons, and so people were like, "Oh my God, what? Oh, yes, we'll be there." That's pretty cute. So.
I don't know how to follow. You're gonna look, dude. I'm gone. You're gonna have to keep driving this train.
Kim, what's been the most kind of surprising thing about campaigning to you? I know that you went into this with a pretty good picture of what it was going to be, but so far, I've never worked with a candidate who hasn't gotten caught off guard by something at some point. So what has been your big, holy shit, I can't believe this is happening moment?
Oh my God. I know. I feel like I need to do a post-campaign thing where I'm like, all right, guys, like gather around. I'm gonna tell you all the stories.
Like a workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, here's what, you know, here trials and tribulations of the campaign trail.
Yeah. You know, it's because of how awesome my team is, I am really kind of insulated from a lot of those moments where you feel like you're just out there twisting in the wind. They're so good at managing a lot of that stuff and helping. And then even if you do get in a situation, just being emotional support for you and you aloft, they're awesome. But I think what's always surprising to me is that you go in thinking you're going to appeal to a specific group of people. Like, you know, I'm an anarchist. It would be a given that anarchists would find me appealing because I also think that government is unethical. And then they're the ones who will like be like, oh, I can't, you know, or whatever. Or they'll ask you questions like the things that I think are totally innocuous are non-starters for people, for some folks. And that surprises me too. Like I have somebody who I've had some people message me some interesting things like, if you get elected president, are you going to talk about the UFOs? And I'm just like, if I see one, you know,
So,
like, is that your thing? Like, of all the shit that's going on,
is that your issue?
one thing that you're like, I want to know what happened in Area 51. Fuck the criminal justice system, whatever. You know, progression, fine with it, but I want to know if it was Mylar or a UFO. Pick your battles, people. It's like it's some really interesting stuff. Like really interesting stuff. So
I saw your interview on Judge Knapp, and I'm sure that was a very friendly set to go on to, even though probably very like, holy shit, I'm on Judge Knapp. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, he was very gracious. I don't know if you guys have ever done something like that. That's the first time I've ever done any sort of major media coverage.
Oh, no.
I had a livery driver, come and pick me up and drive me to a studio in East Phoenix. And then I go in, and even though I'd gotten up at 4 to do my hair and makeup, the gal like applied more makeup on me. And I'm like, please don't make me look like a potato. I'm German. I'm all cheeks and forehead. Very lovely woman. Very, very, very sweet. And then after she finished me, they put me in a room where it was all lit behind me, and they had the green screen. Yep. And they were looking at like an X on the wall, and the camera was right above it. And you had your little earpiece put in your lavalier, and then all you hear is what's being said. You're not talking to anybody. So the normal sort of like right now I can look at you guys and we can interact with facial expressions that are normal. And I have a very animated face normally. But when I was looking at a blank wall, I'm like, yes, ballot access. I can't even watch the interview because I'm like, I seriously tell people, I'm like, I look like a pile of mashed potatoes with 2 raisins for eyes.
No. I think you did amazing.
I thought it was great.
And I would, you know, it was one of those times that it made me proud to be a libertarian and belong to this party, you know. But, you know, going into that, you knew Judge Knapp is going to be, you know, a soft. So going into it, so I guess how did his producers and prior to you going on that show, how was that process and how do you foresee that being if you get put on some shit thing like CNN or something that's not friendly at all, that's going to try and get you with a fucking Aleppo bullshit question?
Oh God. Yeah. So, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, that was obviously you're going into ally territory, so you're not going to have anybody try and play a gotcha moment. But there are quite a few people who will do that, including people who are supposedly allies. So usually the way to do it is just to take some pause. And you're like, just give yourself a moment to digest and then think about the core of the question being asked. I think sometimes that's our biggest failure is that, and then I don't mean us as libertarians, I just mean us when we're put in a debate scenario, is that want to try and address the question that's being asked, even if the question is built on totally false premises. Mm-hmm. So, and that we've been so lucky having Hody do those series of debates, because he does ask those questions that we would be faced with, those kinds where they're like, they create that moral dilemma where you don't want to say the wrong thing because you're going to look like a terrible person. But when you listen to the question, you're like, wait a minute, this whole thing is built on this specious concept that government is a necessity and it's good. So you really just have to calm yourself down and listen, and then try and challenge the root of the question, turn it around. To his credit, Adam Kokesh is excellent at that. Like, he's very, very good at tapping the root of a question and turning it around. And I think a lot of Kokesh. Yeah, he's very good at that. And so
Adam has a superpower there. He really does.
Yeah, he's very good at it. I mean, he's probably had quite a bit of practice. He's been campaigning for president since 2013. So it's a good skill. Is because, I mean, even if you're campaigning for office, or you're doing petition gathering, or you're going to do voter registration, or you're just having a conversation with your friends, you're still going to have those things that are built on the wrong premise, because all of our philosophy is built on the wrong premise. We're indoctrinated into this mindset. So people aren't saying like, should we or should we not? They're saying, to what extent should we? Like, it's a given that it should be done. So if we start to kind of train ourselves up to be good at, I don't know, it's like the Matrix, where you're just like, whoa, not that question.
So how do you differentiate from, like we had Dan on last week. You talked about Adam Kokesh. There's several others that if I was a little more sober, I would remember the names a lot better. And it's all like radicals and anarchists running for this spot so far. Like, I haven't seen a whole lot of, I guess, prags, for lack of a better word, jumping into this race. How do you differentiate from people who are running on different shades of the same platform?
Yeah, that's a good question, because at the root, we all agree philosophically. Like, we all want the same ultimate end goal. So there is that aspect. I think the difference between the other candidates and myself is I primarily focus on what can reasonably be done in the position of the presidency based on what the constitutional limitations are. And I'm not doing that because I think the Constitution is amazing and that's where we should stop. I think that we should keep pushing for total liberation, because that's the noble goal. We should never shift that goalpost. However, because of the fact that we do have this culture and we do have people that think that government is, at least at the bare minimum, a necessary evil, that is a really good place to get us to first. Like, let's get us just back to the Constitution first. Feel what that bit of freedom is that we've been missing all these decades. I mean, it's been well over 100 years. They basically started violating it the minute they ratified it. So if we can get to there, then we can say, okay, see that? Now, do we really need this? And just keep pushing it further and further. So I think that's why I'm a little bit different. We have a lot of candidates to talk about, I'm going to get in there and dissolve the federal government, or I'm going to get in there and do all these wide sweeping things regardless. I'm going to use executive orders to make my will be known. And my feeling is, if you make a law today to do whatever you think is right, invariably somebody's going to come in tomorrow and use So I'm vehemently opposed to that. I want to roll it back.
Like, look, I'm with you. Like, you guys know me. I'm the burn it all down chick, right? Like, it is so corrupted and so fucked, and just burn it all down, and we'll play, USA Survivor Island or what the fuck ever until we figure it out, because that would even be better than this. But I would be like tickled shitless if the next person that we elect as president, I don't give a fuck who they are. I mean, Donald fucking Duck, I don't care, as long as you can eliminate 4 alphabet agencies. Just make 4 alphabet agencies go away, and I will learn to do cartwheels. Like, shit.
Is that necessary on Survivor Island? No,
it may be. It depends on whose island it is, right?
I can teach you to do cartwheels. It's not a big deal.
I'm totally with you, Erin, because I think that's the thing that, like, what the Democratic debates are a really good example of just how far gone we are. Because you have all these candidates who are like, have no meaningful concept of what a president actually can do realistically or should do ethically, which is nothing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we say that, but in watching those, you're gonna laugh. You guys are gonna laugh. In watching the Democratic debates, I was reminded of our own inter-party at-large debates and at-large races. I mean, 77 candidates for 5 offices. I mean, seriously, it reminded me of that.
There's going to be a Coke machine in every cafeteria. We're going to extend lunch break by 15 minutes. I'm like, get out the glitter posters, guys.
Right?
I say that, like, if the only sort of standout person is the one person who says what liberals supposedly believe in, which is anti-war, and we're like, yeah, that's good enough for me. You're like, holy shit, we're so far gone. We're so far gone. If that little nugget of goodness is enough for us to be like, we're voting for her.
Look, you know? I think you could win today in the next presidential election if somebody raised enough money to send a dozen chocolate chip cookies to every house in the country with a little note that says, my mom baked these for you, please vote for me. They would fucking win. That's all it would take.
All right. I can so I
like that's all it would take. I mean, people just are so desperate to grab onto anything that feels real and personal, even for a second.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very true. I mean, most people, we talked about this in our campaign chat a lot, but a lot of people just are going from their day to day. They really are just, I wake up, I get my kids to school, I go to work, I have them in daycare because I have to work to pay for them to be in daycare and I can't afford not to work. I come home, I make dinner, I'm exhausted, I help the kids with homework, I put them to bed. I got an hour to maybe watch a stupid TV show and unwind, and then I do it all over again. Like, they don't have that extra time because they're slaves to working to pay for taxes to give them these benefits they desperately want back. Like, this creates this vicious cycle of on the state. So it is by design and it is systematic. And the only way we can get it back is we just got to start cutting it and giving people back their money so they have greater freedom and greater ability to do the things they need to, and recognize that it starts with them. Like, they own themselves. We don't. No one is fit to rule you.
So I was listening to a video earlier. My other nerdy passion is fantasy novels. And this guy was talking about if you're going to write a fantasy novel, you need to get your economic and political systems figured out before you start building a story around them. Mm. So in order to have that discussion, he was talking about like what ignites revolutions in political and economic systems and what doesn't. And his main point was that because there's not like if you got people who are mostly happy, like your basics are covered, you don't lack for a whole lot. In America, you know, poor people have TVs and cable, and you know, we might all be massively in debt, but day to day, it's pretty good. Why would I want to upset that? And then how do you fight that mentality?
Well, I guess I could turn the heat up some more. No, just kidding. That's a terrible idea. But no, I understand. Like, there is a lot of complacency there because, you know, it's, even though we are all effectively one paycheck from extraordinary poverty and bankruptcy, we still are able to get the things that we want. We still have the cell phone that's capable of basically being a small computer. We don't hurt per se for the necessities, but there's so much more that we could do if we had what rightfully belonged to us. If our bodies belong to ourselves, the fruits of our labor belong to us, we could affect positive change. We wouldn't need to turn to government to solve our existential crises and force our neighbors to do the same because that happens to bother us. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how to impress that upon people, but I do think that most people generally feel that frustration, and it manifests in aggression toward their neighbors, aggression online, aggression at work. And it's something we carry around with us all the time, that frustration. And that frustration is a lack of opportunity. It's a lack of ability to be upwardly mobile and to accomplish things and truly find out who you're meant to be and become that person. So if we just teach them by giving them the words and saying every single issue that bothers you, every single thing that upsets you is because of government policy, government programs, because we are using an instrument of force and fraud to compel positive action. And you would be so much happier if you just gave yourself permission and stopped submitting. Then I think that they would take that and they could do something with that positive. I don't personally feel like we're at a point yet where I want to get out there and have a revolution, but I do want to have a major change culturally. And when I say revolution, I mean like get out there with guns. Like I'm not ready for that.
Yeah. Do you see this, Kim?
What's that?
Daniel Berman says, Kim, if you help me fight for approval voting at the convention, you'll get one of my other votes.
Okay. All right, no problem.
So we are getting blasted a little bit, mostly by Justin. So who cares about not pulling up the saucy comments? So I'm going to go back up here because there's one that I'm sure you don't actually want to touch, but I think it's kind of interesting. Oh, where did it go? Where is it? It was a Justin comment.
I have not been watching these, Kim.
I always read them. I'm a comment reader. I can't help it, especially if they're right there. So, Kim, sorry if you were talking about serious and I was laughing, it's because some jackass said something.
Kim, what is your opinion on Wizards of the Coast printing 4 different Chandra Planeswalkers in a single set with M20? Is it a move to force Chandra as the new fan-loved mascot of Magic the Gathering and transition Liliana to fill the villain in the wake of Bolas's imprisonment?
See what I have to put up with here?
No, I'm sorry. I really like this is so over my head. It is.
So you're not familiar with World of Warcraft, I take it.
This is Magic the Gathering. Jeez.
So to clarify, I've never played video games, and it's not a judgmental.
This is a card game.
Okay, and but there's also but World of Warcraft is a video game, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
I've never played video games. I've never done live action role playing or played role playing games. About the most I've ever done that qualifies as hyper nerdy, besides watching everything in the MCU and really getting into that, and reading a lot of sci-fi, is I've played Axis and Allies and BattleTech. So that's about as. Like,
I mean, that's a start, I guess. We'll get you there.
And I'm Acid Settlers of Catan, any version.
Oh, Catan's awesome, yeah.
Fan rocks.
I played that.
So Catan, people think that Monopoly is how you get people into video games, but no, because Monopoly is god-awful. Catan is how you get people to start playing board games. I think I said video games earlier. I meant board games. That's like, and I don't mean this insultingly, that's like baby's first board game, and if you like Catan, I will find 10 other games that you enjoy based on why you like Catan.
Mm-hmm.
You should pop that one, Zach.
What's that?
Yeah.
You should pop that last comment from Jimmy Mahoney.
Oh, Jimmy. I love you, Jimmy. Please be nice.
Oh, Kim is doing a terrible job pandering to the LP's wizard demographic.
Sorry. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I'm just not that.
Look, you guys, Kim's team, she has such a strong team. I promise you, if it's really that important to you, somebody can write a white paper on this shit.
On Magic the Gathering.
She said she's not going to judge you about your nerdy ways. Like, I don't judge. It's just not my bag.
Kim supports your right to be a nerd, just like Dre supports our right to be nerds. I mean, come on. They're allies here.
I do have to ask a drama question for you.
Sure.
Because we got to get one. We are the drama channel. Whose side are you taking in the Dr. Varner versus Ron Paul Institute battle?
Oh!
Because that's actually kind of an important drama.
Can you fill me in on what happens? Because I'm not really abreast.
Oh, it's bad.
I'm a little too drunk. One of you take it.
Okay.
How do I do this
Do
politely?
it.
You do it. You can do it politely.
I can't.
Okay, so Dr. Varner has been consistently saying that he wants regime change in Venezuela, but he does not want American involvement. Right.
Okay.
He just wants the people of Venezuela to overthrow their government because it's a Cuban-backed socialist state.
Okay. So he has an opinion.
What's that? Yeah.
Well, so he has an opinion.
And the Ron Paul Institute is saying that he's a Bolton sympathizing neocon and he doesn't belong in the LP because he wants to see Maduro overthrown.
No.
Yeah, see things without,
No, that's absurd. I mean, we can have opinions all day long. We have quite a wide strata of people who have various different opinions on, the international relations.
Right.
Force or fraud to make this happen. So if he thinks he wants to see that happen, then he has an opinion. That does not manifest in policy or programs. He's not using force or fraud to make it happen. No, they can pound sand.
Yeah, and he has said, he wants to support, this change through emotional.
Don't worry. So your running mate has you covered on the nerdy shit, just so you know.
Yeah.
John says he has done World of Warcraft and LARPed.
Yeah,
Strength and numbers in this ticket, guys.
My nerdiness is really obscure. Like, I know a lot about copper mining, which is weird. And if you want to talk about silent German expressionism in the 1930s in film, I got you, fam. Like, I know weird.
Wow. That is obscure as fuck, Kim.
No, it totally is. M is an amazing movie, as is Metropolis. So, I know a lot of really weird crap. And I made a student film once when I was in film school, and it was when I was really heavily into David Lynch, and it was very insane.
And you guys, that still qualifies as nerddom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's totally nerdy as shit.
Being a cinephile, I'm a pain in the ass there. But just, I never got into the other stuff. But it's cool that you do that. That's awesome. No judgment.
I mean, so D&D is basically just acting, but with your nerdy friends. So
yeah, it's not really acting. It's more like a table meeting.
Well, I mean, if you're going full on, like you're dressing as your character and only playing in character.
Yeah, and then it's maybe a dress rehearsal, right? But really, that's all it is.
That's a thing?
Sure. That's
Dre,
why.
what is wrong with, how are you our friend?
Where did we find you?
I'm sorry I had a life in high school.
I was homeschooled. I had time to have like 3.
Look, I had a life in high school. I partied my ass off, but I also geeked out.
In high school, because my parents were kind of sort of strict. So this was my policy in high school. I would go out if at least 2 of my 3 Bs were involved, beer, bud, and boys. If you didn't have at least 2 of those, I wasn't coming. I'm going to save my night out.
In high school, as a chick who played D&D, that guaranteed beer, bud, and boys.
You have no idea what
lots of
smelly
beer,
basement dwelling D&D players would do to have one girl at the table.
Dude, the D&D players I knew in high school, there was a lot of acne. There was no beer bud involved, no. And there were definitely no
I
girls.
guarantee you there was.
When I was in high school, most of the people I played with weren't.
Dude,
I feel like I had the most. I mean, I went to an all-girls Catholic school. And, hold on, I was goth, which basically dark hair, and I wore a little bit more eyeliner than I do now. And all the pretty blonde girls with the blue eyes were like, they assumed I was a bad girl, like I was smoking behind the alley and, making out with whomever. And I was like, no, I've never done any of that. Like, you guys are way worse than me. I totally didn't do anything until I was 20, 21. I was way behind the times. But boy, wow. Tori Amos. Yeah, this is major.
So were you a straight edge goth? Is that what you're saying?
Well, not deliberately. It wasn't like I was like, no, I don't. But we were that sort of Anne Rice, New Orleans goth thing going on. Like I wasn't mod and I wasn't punk rock. It was like leather and lace and we're dead, so we don't do those things. I went through a phase where I was Wiccan, which basically meant that I tried to smoke sage.
Right?
Yeah, I was really bad at that. And somewhere around junior year, I was like, you know what, guys? I don't like the Rocky Horror Picture Show as much as I think it should. Like 9 Inch Nails is creepy to listen to.
Oh,
I like 9 Inch Nails.
I do too. I'm such a 90s kid. Like, I started high school in 1990, graduated in 94.
That's not what 90s kid means, Trey.
We were early. I'm assuming okay, I'm 38. So how old are you?
43.
Okay, close enough, right? So we're in the same, we're in the same area. I know when we were in high school, it was like, oh my God, you're upperclassmen. I can't even talk to you. I was still in junior high, technically, but whatever. But like, yeah, the whole like early 90s alt rock was fucking phenomenal. Like,
Yeah.
I had to mute Dre, sorry.
Surprise.
Like, who was that?
That was
Dre.
Garden back from the dead.
That Dre's mic does that occasionally. She'll be fine in a minute.
I bought a new mic and just assumed my current power source was up with it.
Wow. Okay, this one's lasting a little longer than normal.
And it
Sorry, Dre.
didn't.
So I have to agree. And look, here's going to blow a lot of my nerd cred. Rocky Horror Picture Show's garbage.
I mean,
I love you. Validation.
I mean, there was some fun music in it, but that's pretty much it.
You're back on, Dre.
Oh, go ahead.
Say something, Dre.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do not dig musicals other than Annie, maybe. Grew up on Annie, whatever, loved it. So whenever people that are like about 4 or 5 years older than me are always like, Rocky Horror Picture Show, in the 80s were the best, yada yada. And I'm like, okay, so when I was a little kid was in the 80s, and I love the 80s, and it had nothing to do with the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It had to do with, you know, like George Michael and Neon Bracelets and Duran Duran and Madonna and Cyndi Lauper. Those are the highlights that I look back on, and I'm like, yeah. So when people are like Rocky Horror Picture Show, I've seen bits and pieces. I've never seen it all the way through. No thanks.
There were two things that were good in it. Some of the music was pretty good. Tim Curry and drag is always going to be like, I'm sorry, it's Tim Curry and drag. It's the only redeeming thing in the movie, right? But for a lot of teenage guys, that movie was as close as they were going to get to porn for at least 10 years.
And then it was, what is it? The Princess Bride was the one.
Right. That was the next one, right? So, I mean, that's why.
You mean the greatest movie ever made?
I love The Princess Bride. But that's why so many people are like, oh, Rocky Horror was hot. It's because it was taboo. There was some taboo shit in it. And for teenage kids, that was cool.
Right. Because at that time, it's not like you could go online to like Pornhub or RedTube. Like you.
Right.
Hope that maybe somebody left a dirty magazine in an alley to see something, or to the Spice Channel and Scramble and be like, I think that's a boob.
I remember that. Like, what? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Spinach green, and you're like, see some action, and you're like, I think they're viewing things.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to have to wrap here because we're hitting 68 minutes, and this file is going to be unwieldy if I don't cut it here. But we're going to continue talking about shitty musicals from the 80s in the post show. So if you want to hear that, go subscribe really quick, and I'll get you in. Or you can just watch the video of it later if you subscribe. Kim, do you want to say anything going away?
Yes. My name is, God, I love that I ended on the whole Spice Channel thing. My name is Kim Ruff, and I am seeking the Libertarian Party's nomination for president in 2020. You can learn more about me at ruffphillips2020.com. That's RUFF as in Frank, like dog barking, Phillips2020.com.
All right.
Spice it up.
So anyway, everyone, thank you for joining us this week. Try to get access to that post show. We're gonna come back hard on that one. If you're a premium subscriber, we'll see you in about 5 minutes after I reset the stream. If not, we'll see you maybe this weekend. We'll do a bonus episode. If not, we'll see you Tuesday. Do we have a guest?
Freedom Friday. If you're in Omaha, Freedom Friday. 4 local comedians, amazing comedians. Then we have.
Well, we have 3 amazing comedians in Caleb.
Stop it. He's a local up-and-coming comedian now. This
All
is
right.
his first show, but whatever. Anyway.
And donate to lpne.org so I have to sing Backstreet Boys.
Please,
Yes,
please, please.
Please. Even if it's $5, shoot $1. Just donate. lpne.org, please.
Right.
Freedom Friday at look up the Forte Music Lounge. That's where it is. 7 p.m.
All right, we're going for real now. We'll see y'all next week.